Dolphins fans, welcome in to another edition of the Dolphins Today mailbag. I am Will Scott answering your questions during our Dolphins live show. If you missed our last live show, we go live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. First question coming in courtesy of BJ Ward. We appreciate the $5 super chat. BJ shouting out 94 Christian Wilkins. And also asking, what do we do with the cap we'll get for cutting Byron Jones? And like you said, all the things, when is a right tackle signing coming? I hope soon, man. You know, the problem right now is they don't really have any cap space to sign somebody. But if you extend Christian Wilkins, like you're suggesting here, that'll certainly solve that issue. We're going to get nearly $14 million in cap space on June 1st when the Byron Jones cut becomes official. But the problem is you don't have that money right now. Now, last year, there were still some decent free agents available after June 1. Hopefully that's the case this year. Those are also probably going to go toward some rookie contracts. But hopefully the Dolphins are able to, put that money to good use that they get from the Byron Jones cut on June 1st. We appreciate the question, BJ. $5 from Andrew Rossi saying, I really like Darnell Washington, but offensive line has to be the priority. Andrew, we appreciate the super chat. And the question, my friend, I love Darnell Washington. He's probably a top 3 draft target for me when you're talking about the Dolphins at 51. But I couldn't agree more. Offensive line has got to be a priority. I really like Cody Mauch. I really like Matthew Bergeron. Those are 2 guys that the Dolphins might target in the second round. If they go after a tight end, though, you have Washington. You have Musgrave. I think those 2 guys will be off the board before the Dolphins. But Laporta, Kraft, and Schoonmaker are also there. Maybe draft Mauch or Bergeron second round, like you're suggesting, and then draft a tight end like Kraft in the third round. That's certainly a possibility, and Kraft could be an absolute steal. Really like him out of San Diego State. Escozer, $5. Thanks for the question in the super chat. If these are available at 51, who would you pick? Tight end, Darnell Washington. Running back, Charbonnet. Running back, Devon Achane. Offensive line, Steve Avila. Offensive lineman, Cody Mauch. Good question. I draft Washington. I draft Darnell because I think all the other guys might be on the board there. If Darnell Washington somehow falls to 51, you got to take Darnell Washington. You're talking about a guy that is just a freak. He's huge. He can catch. He can block. He's athletic. He put up, I believe, the second highest athleticism score at the combine amongst any of the tight ends. So I really like Darnell Washington. I'd take him. If he's not on the board, I'd probably take Cody Mauch. Also like Avila as well, though. Chad Jones, $10 super chat. We appreciate our super chat MVP, Chad Jones, asking, should Miami trade Cedric Wilson to get more draft capital? And could it give us more chances of getting more quality rookies? Part of me, Chad, wants to hold on to Ced because I know he's a lot better and can be a lot more productive than he was last year. But the other part of me is like, you really don't need him. You have Barrios, you have Ezukanma, you have Craycraft, you have some really good wide receivers behind Waddle and Hill, and then you can maybe get a 5th or 6th round pick by trading them and then shed $7 billion in cap space. So I would say yes to trading Cedric Wilson. I don't think they're going to do it, but if I'm in Chris Greer's shoes, I would certainly explore it. We appreciate the question, Chad. Frank the Tank, what's up, man? Is this Frank Fleming? Loved what Mike McDaniel had to say about Tua this week. Yes, I am being told by producer Jeremy Chuggs that he actually has what you're talking about built. Mike McDaniel was asked about Tua Tagovailoa at the league meetings this week. Is producer Jeremy Chuggs is pulling that up. Here it is. We all have those moments where we're like, I don't know what's going to happen. Do you go into those moments with faith you're going to get it done, or anxiety and apprehension that you would fail? All I've gone through, all those moments with vigor and fearlessness of how I've been built up. So I saw Tua like that. How can we even approach the idea that we know what this player is when I don't know, from my vantage point, who does this guy have that believes in him? He has to know that someone is 100% in his corner, which is what I see a coach is. And no, dude, you can do it. I had to convince him that I believed in him, so he in turn could allow himself to believe. Chills. I have chills, Jeremy Chugg, because I have chills. And basically what Mike McDaniel is saying there is like he's acknowledging it. Tua just didn't have a support staff. He did not have enough people believing in him. And his previous coaching staff, he was probably getting down about himself. Then he has a coach like Mike McDaniel that comes in, believes in him, knows that he's talented, and uses him the right way. Mike McDaniel is exactly what Tua Tagovailoa needed, man. I mean, thank God for Mike McDaniel. What's your confidence level in Tua Tagovailoa? Let me know down in the comments section. Scale it 1 to 10 down in the comments. What's your confidence level? No. I'm at an 8 or a 9. I mean, we know he can ball. He just got to stay healthy. He just has to stay healthy. Fins up, $20 super chat. We appreciate that, man. Be surprised if we don't make a move for the offensive line. I heard they feel confident in who we have already. Shaking my head. It will not work. I'm shaking my head with you. I mean, Chris Grier has said that they believe in Austin Jackson at right tackle, and they believe in Liam Eichenberg at left guard. I just don't know what they see there. Austin Jackson was showing some progress last offseason and in the preseason, but he just barely played this past year. And he's the most important position, arguably, on that offensive line at right tackle, protecting to his blind side. And then Liam Eichenberg was just a disaster at left guard. So I'm with you. It's not going to work. They got to do something. And what makes it even more frustrating, Fins Up, is the fact that you have this injury history from Tua Tagovailoa. You have these injury concerns. You have these concussion concerns. You got to keep Tua healthy. How do you keep him healthy? By improving the offensive line. They got to do something. $20 as well from Aldo. We appreciate you, Aldo. What will the Dolphins do if both Washington and Schmitz are available at pick 52? Who would you pick? That's a tough question. I'd pick Darnell Washington. I would be shocked if those guys are both available, and I know I keep preaching offensive line, but Connor did a good enough job there for me to pick Darnell Washington at 52 because you really need a tight end, and Darnell Washington would be the best tight end on your roster immediately, would probably have a pretty big role in this offense. I just think he's a good scheme fit as well. So I would take Darnell Washington there, Aldo. We appreciate the question and the super chat. Now, I know a lot of y'all closely follow the NFL Draft. Show it by subscribing to our NFL Draft channel, youtube.com/chatnfl. We're continuing to grow, and we're trying to see how many Dolphins fans we can get over to our NFL Draft channel, youtube.com/chatnfl. That is the sublink, and that sublink is going to be in the comments and the description of today's video. So go and subscribe to that NFL Draft channel. Chef Jew, we appreciate you, man. Mr. Will our GM Christopher Grier sign DJ Fluker or ART? A right tackle? I hope so, because I want the Great Wall of Miami. I'm all for building a wall, man, on this offensive line. That's just not something that we've done in the last couple of years with Tua Tagovailoa, and you've seen the injuries with him. I would love DJ Fluker. I'm actually working on getting DJ Fluker on the show. He followed me on Twitter the other day, so that's certainly a possibility. We're going to ask DJ Fluker if there's any interest from the Dolphins that he's received, because Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel were at that Pro Day at Alabama when DJ Fluker looked really, really good. If you haven't checked out my DJ Fluker video, I encourage you to go look that up. We talked about the possibility of signing him, but he's gotten himself back into shape. He looks really good, and I think that he would have a good chance to make this roster, maybe even get significant playing time if the Dolphins were to sign him. So I'm all for it. We appreciate the question, man. Carter Jones, who has the most to prove on the Dolphins this year? That's a great question. You might be surprised by my answer here. I would say Xavier Howard. And I understand that he's a proven player, 4-time Pro Bowler. But a lot of people are saying that this guy is washed, that he's not the same player. And I feel like he's going to have a lot to prove this year. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I still think he has a lot of juice in him. I think maybe Josh Boyer was more of an issue this year, but Xavier Howard in Vic Fangio's defense, I think, is really going to step up and have a big year for the Dolphins, be a lot better than he was last year. Who has the most to prove on the Dolphins next season? Go down in the comment section. Let me know, what do you think? Who has the most to prove on the Dolphins this year? Curious to hear what y'all think down in the comment section. Sherry May saying, any news on Cameron Fleming? In my opinion, the best right tackle still available in free agency, probably the best offensive tackle, period. No, nothing new. I haven't really heard the Dolphins link to him too much, but he's my number one free agent target for the Dolphins. He would be outstanding at right tackle. I mean, signing him and then drafting Cody Mauch or John Michael Schmitz is as Dr. Drew said earlier, I mean, that's going to be the Great Wall of Miami if you can make that happen. Ben saying, I heard Lae'el Collins might be released by the Bengals. Do you prefer him or Jonah Williams? It's a great question. I mean, Lae'el Collins has more experience at right tackle, but Jonah Williams is younger. There's fewer injury concerns with Jonah Williams. I would say Jonah Williams, but I'd also be happy with Lae'el Collins. I think he'd be an upgrade over who you currently have at right tackle. Anthony Manzano, MOB, we appreciate you, man. If we stay at 51, who would you rather draft, Kraft or Schoonmaker? Because I'm going to stay away from Laporta, Schoonmaker, because he's a carbon copy of Gesicki. I'm talking about Laporta. I would take Kraft. I really like Kraft. I feel like he's not getting as much buzz, as much hype, because he went to a small school at San Diego or at South Dakota State. So I feel like he's not getting as much buzz, but I feel like he's just as good as some of the guys that might go round one. I really believe that. Tucker Kraft would be an absolute steal in round 3 if you can get him. I don't know if I'd take him in round 2, because if Darnell Washington's off the board, I'd rather just take an offensive lineman. Be sure to give me a shout on Twitter. If you didn't get a question on this mailbag, just DM me on Twitter. I'll answer it there at WillScott44 on Twitter.